after vineyard in the 1860s. So it was a huge area. They planted all kinds of things. They had a distillery. They had grape varieties. We don't know what they are, and they called them different things then. Fast forward a little bit into the early 20th century. In the teens, Zinfandel was planted on this property. For a good stretch, one of the Locatella family owned it, and it was producing Zinfandel through 1968. And David Bruce came along he started up in the Summit in the very early 60s. He ended up buying this piece of property and producing California Zinfandel off of it through a lot of the years in the 60s. 68 was the last vintage. I still own a bottle that I found at auction. And David bought the property, though, not to continue doing the Zinfandel, but because he thought it'd be such a great spot for Pinot Noir. And so it took him a few years to get around to it, but in the winter of 69-70, David Bruce pulled the Zinfandel and planted Lenti Selection Pinot Noir, which David went on to call the Bruce clone. But it's a Massal. It was a number of different clones all put together as a field selection. That got planted. The first crop there was an itty bitty crop in '74 that no one did anything with. In the meantime, Ken Burnap, restaurateur from Southern California, Burgundy lover, could not figure out why Burgundy was so damn good and California Pinot sucked. And he'd go on these buying trips, and in those days, Napa Valley was still pretty much where most of the Pinot was grown, and we all know it's too hot to grow good Pinot there. So Ken, as a hobby, no intention of having a winery, started looking at sites he thought would make the perfect Pinot. His short list was Russian River and Santa Cruz Mountains. And he knew David. They had similar ideas about how to make Pinot. They got together. David was in the middle of a nasty divorce. He had to raise some cash. Long story short is Ken Burnap bought the property from David right as the first fruit was coming off in '75. So Ken sold his businesses in Southern California, moved up here, and started Santa Cruz Mountain Vineyard with the first release in '75. And '79, I was a sophomore at UCSC. A friend of a friend said, hey, I was supposed to bottle. I can't. Here's the address. Go. And I never left. So I worked with Ken Burnap for 25 years. I lived up here rent-free for 20-something years. And then when Ken fully retired in 2004, I didn't have that amount of money in my mattress to buy the property, and Ken needed to sell it to enjoy his retirement, which is when these folks took over. So I have since moved the winery down to the city of Santa Cruz, but I'm lucky to still get work, to be able to work with Ron Bailey's fruit up here and Woody's fruit right here on Jarvis Road, so I still get to work on this mountain.